Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm helping you level up your communication skills. In this episode, we are entering the digital social skills world, and we're going to be talking about the importance of networking on social media, plus a few strategies and insights on how to execute. In this video, every now and then, I'm going to be using a phrase called digital charisma. Digital charisma? Just give me a second. Let me find out what it means in my dictionary. Don't bother. Don't bother because this is a phrase that I made up. You made it up? That doesn't seem like the right thing to do. On the contrary, it is the right thing to do. Because with words are not something that are fixed for life. As times change, new words need to be introduced so we can understand the natural world. And phrases are extremely important because this ever-changing natural world, we're capable of momentarily taking a snapshot of it. And this phrase is something that we could feed into our mind in order to unlock higher levels of thinking. That phrase is known as digital charisma. I came to understand the importance of digital charisma one day when I was reading this book on investing. A few pages in, I came to understand that this particular book was a beginner's book on investing. And a few more pages in, the author is like, just so you know, just so you don't get your hopes up too much, this is a beginner's book. What I would recommend if you want an advanced book is to check out the following suggestion. And he lists a book along with the author's name. Let's just call him Jesse Ramon. That's the suggested author. Jesse Ramon. When I saw that name, it looked extremely familiar, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So I continued to read some more. As some weeks passed on by, I would check my Twitter every now and then, and I would routinely see this guy who would interact with my tweets in a very comical way. This following person was someone who had a sense of humor, and every now and then he would post a GIF, one of those animations showing a reaction to the tweet. Funny guy. I recognized his face, but I didn't recognize his name. After reading this book, I'm going through my tweets and I see this guy posting a GIF. I see a little blue check mark next to his name, and I see his name. For the first time ever, I make myself aware of his name, Jesse Ramon. Jesse Ramon, Jesse Ramon. I Googled this guy, and it just so happens that the guy that was recommended in this book that I was reading was the same guy that was interacting with my tweets. And immediately from there, I'm like, yo, dude, I'm literally reading a book right now where you just got a shout out. And he starts to ask, what book? What book? Dang, man, you popping like that? And this scenario got me to understand how high impact social media was. From there, Jesse and I started to interact. We started to talk. He gave me some advice on writing books, all that kind of stuff, and I learned a lot. This was the situation of digital charisma live in action. He was following my account because I was giving him value of some sort, and on the flip side, he too was able to give me value as well using digital tools. The thing that we want to understand is that networking on social media is not always for everyone. There are certain people who have a very sour attitude regarding it. They may say, oh, well, I don't have the right technology knowledge. I may not have the right business model to get the most out of social media, or I just don't have the personal desire to network on social media. And this group is completely fine. Social media networking is not something that you want to force, because when you are forcing it, then no one wins, especially you. You may have the variables that align more so for offline networking. Now, with that being said, in an ideal world, it's better to have both offline plus online so you become a social, charismatic superstar who leverages digital charisma. How can you do it? There's plenty of different ways to do it, and I want to just give you a few suggestions. One of the ways is to become a creator on social media. Tons and tons of people are consumers of social media content. But did you ever think about being a creator of some sort? You don't need to become a mega celebrity or anything. But nowadays, a small little niche account wins because when you leave outside, you're not getting swarmed by paparazzi and hundreds of people while you're in your pajamas. Better yet, no one recognizes you, which is even better because you could have more meaningful relationships with a small group of people. And the way to do that is by getting in the battlefield, going in the arena, and contributing content. Content on what? Content on something that you're either trying to get better at, a fear that you're trying to overcome, or a hobby. Why create content? Creating content is another way of saying creating opportunities, because content is strictly energy, and the energy that you put out is the energy that you get back. And a lot of the times when we are doing attraction marketing in this sense, we start to attract a lot of people who we never knew existed, and they never knew we existed until the content served as the bridge. This bridge is able to allow others to come to you, which makes the entire networking process much easier in the case of myself and Jesse. That's just one way, create content. Now, to give you another version of this, not only do you create content on your own, another way to do this is by having an interview show. One of my clients, one thing that he was able to do was he started a podcast where he did audio plus video, bringing high players into his show. And what do I mean by high players? I'm talking about people who are extremely relevant in his particular industry of marketing. And he was able to kill two birds with one stone. Not only did he bring people onto his show where he was able to network with them, he was also able to learn a lot. All this information that he was getting, he would have before had to read so much books on, but since he invited them onto his show, he was getting free information. Plus, what this does is that this other person, the person that has risen in their field, here's a little thing that you should know. They love giving out answers and helping people. So a lot of the people that you are intimidated by will surprisingly be the easiest people to get on your show as long as you ask. So with this next step, not only are you creating content, you're creating content which actively engages the person that you're trying to network with. The third option, let's say you're one of those guys that's like, dude, man, I'm one of those guys that likes to be behind the scene. I don't really like to put myself out there. Do you have any tips on networking for people like me? Of course, because what did I say in the beginning? I said that most people are using social media to consume. So what you can do is consume other people's content, interact with the content, where you are not creating your own unique content, you're just adding on to what they're saying. This builds familiarity. The creator is now going to be able to recognize you. I've seen this face before. I don't remember the name, but I've seen this face before. And since humans are visual creatures, the face means a lot more than the name, even though eventually the name starts to matter. The name will be digested by this other person as long as there's a consistent exposure, not once out of the blue moon. So for the third option, it comes down to interacting with other people. The fourth option, do you have any other tips? You said create content by yourself, create content with other people, interact with other people. Do you have any other tips in terms of networking on social media? Yes, this is what I call the mastermind. In our generation, a lot of the entrepreneurs in the information age, it's easy to get caught working by yourself, a little too much, because a lot of the digital tools, although it could add onto digital charisma, it could also decentralize the world. This can come with a lot of setbacks. You may feel lonely at times. So one of the other things to do is to create a mastermind. A mastermind is a group of other people who have similar desires, similar ambitions as to what you're trying to do, and you just interact with them. You create a group chat where you guys bounce ideas off of one another, remain social with one another, and encourage one another to keep going on to the next steps. There's different ways to join masterminds. Either you could create one from scratch by yourself, or you could join one that has been created before. There's a lot of Facebook groups out there, a lot of Twitter groups out there, and a lot of Telegram groups out there that you can interact with. Just a little disclaimer in regards to the mastermind. Less is way more. Because a lot of these masterminds, what these people do is they go on there and they're just whining nonstop. Oh, this is what's going wrong with me. This is what's going wrong in my day, in my business. And they're just negative. Soon as you see something like that, these are one of the groups that you want to disengage with. And there's a lot of groups like that. The bigger that a group gets does not mean the closer that a group gets. In terms of masterminds, the small groups, this is where the money is at a lot of the times. And big groups often come in clutch as well. I recommend joining at least 1 to 3 masterminds, ones that you either build or you join. These are just a few ways in order to leverage networking in the space of social media. And it's something that has a lot of rewards. Along with the connections, there's a lot of opportunities which are being created out of thin air. You see, that's the beauty of communication skills. The only resource that you truly need is your mind and your words. And from there, it's ambition that forces you through the doors. You don't have to switch up too many things from networking offline to online. The only things which change is you're going from atoms to pixels, but the people are still remaining the same. Talk to each person as though they are unique. And from that little mindset shift, each person is unique. And since it's on social media, I'm interacting with different people from different cultures. So let's make sure I treat them as unique. And by treating them as unique, new social opportunities start to become created out of thin air. That's modern day alchemy. That's modern day magic. If you want more practical insights into how to network and unlock your charisma, be sure to check out the Charisma King, which discusses topics such as building a tribe, dealing with social anxiety, and breaking the ice, plus many more other social concepts. To grab your copy, check out the link in the description box or the pinned comment right on below. And thank you for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel.